Good morning, everyone. I think we will start. It's sharp 11, and we won't wait. We don't have excuses of traffic jams now, so we will start on time. So, very good morning, everyone. Welcome to Brandversations again. And we're glad to have a lot of you here, and hope all of you are safe and doing well. So today we have with us two great brand thinkers with us. One who sat on both sides, which is client as well as the agency side, and currently working in one of the most talked about sectors or companies that ways too. And the other who's been a brand practitioner for 3 decades or more, and he's an author too, who's written a great book which decodes all branding facets. So before I formally introduce them, time to set some little bit of house rules. Firstly, if you're not following us on our social media pages, we request you to do the same. We're there on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube as Never Too Small to Brand. So all the past episodes are available on Facebook as well as YouTube, and you can check it there to view the same. I request all of you to mute your mics to avoid any disturbance and interruption when the talk is going on. And just in case if you drop off in between, or if there are any power outages, we request you to log on to the same Zoom call link to join the webinar again. If you have any trouble logging into Zoom, remember we are streaming this live on Never Too Small to Brand Facebook page. So you can go there and watch it too there. Whatever questions you have, please type the same in the chat window, and we will surely see how to cover most of the same during the later part of the session. And just in case if your question is not answered, you can consider yourself unlucky. But jokes apart, just send us an email, and we'll surely see how to get your questions answered in the right manner. Okay, so coming to the speakers for today, Atit Mehta and Pavan Padaki. Atit comes with more close to 2 decades, 18 years of hardcore brand and media experience. He's worked across a lot of marquee organizations which you dream to work in, typically places like Mindshare, Colgate-Palmolive, HUL, Sequoia Capital. So great experience handling a wide range of brands for close to 2 decades. Atit is currently the head of marketing for one of the most talked about sectors as well as companies, which is BYJUs, also known as the Think and Learn Private Limited Group. So thank you, Atit, for taking time out from your busy schedule. I know it is crazy times for you all because everything is going up and a lot of traction overall. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So coming to the next speaker, Pavan Padaki. I know him for a while now. Pavan is known as the insight guru among his peers and clients for his ability to make them see the unseen. That is what he is great at. 30 years of experience across functions, from clients management to research to planning to training to whatnot. And from what I know about him, he's known for demystifying jargons. And he's also written a book, like I told you earlier, on branding by the name of Vinci. So if you've not bought it yet, please buy it. It's there on Amazon. And he's a very open, vocal person who says what he feels, like I said, in very simplified terms. So that's what his strength is. He's worked with numerous brands, scripted and produced over 60 commercials. So loaded is the least I can say about him. So great, Pavan, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out and being here today. So,
thank you, Dave.
Yeah, that's it from me. Ravi, over to you. We can start with the questions.
Welcome, Atit and Pavan. Welcome. Thank you for being on the show. And my first question is for Atit. Atit, it's an interesting time, right? So clearly the last couple of months have divided the business world into those who have benefited and those who have adversely been affected by this. Online education definitely has been one of those that has been on the right side of the line. But I don't know, BYJUS is not just about this time. It's not like you're seeing success only now. You already had set up so many things in the right place much earlier. So a little bit about your story and what you thought was already in the right place.
Yeah. So I will just take you guys about a decade into the entire journey and talk about over the next 2 or 3 minutes in terms of why we think we are in the good space in spite of all the lockdowns and schools closing down, which is unfortunate. But yeah, nobody expected such a thing to happen. But yeah, as great minds and great business people say, that there is always an opportunity when one is down, and that's exactly what we are looking at. So the journey started about 10, 12 years ago when the founder, Baiju himself, started teaching professional students, or students who are appearing for a professional examination, maths. And one student became two students, and two students became five students, and then five students became a classroom, and classroom became multiple classrooms, and then from there those classrooms became like an auditorium. And then he realized that this is scaling up, and then I should expand it to multiple cities. So from a Bangalore, it went to Cochin, to a Chennai, to a Mumbai, to a Delhi, to a Jaipur, to a Calcutta, and so on and so forth. But eventually, over the next 2.5 years, he realized that physically he can only do 7 to 8 cities in a week. And at best, he can do about 14, 15, 20 sessions. And he was only teaching math. And a lot of students who learned under him almost cracked their IIMs. They didn't go to the IIMs. They ended up joining him. And that eventually formed the core founding member team. And they also started teaching. So from maths, it became science, and it became English, which is everything which is required for a person to qualify and crack those professional examinations. So IIT JEE, medical entrance, bank PO, to GMAT, GRE, the entire professional setup was then available to be taught with Baiju and some of his best students whom he had handpicked. Now, this continued till 2014 mid, and then he realized that irrespective whatever I do, whatever technology I use, is going to be this much of scale, because if you look at it in India, there are about 2.5 million students in a year who write any professional examination. And that's the universe, and that's the scale one could achieve, provided you do 100% market share, which was just not possible because coaching classes were all over the place. Every city or every center had one or two top coaching classes, and you were competing with each one of them in each of those cities, but the scale was very, very small. Fortunately, at that point in time, a lot of things happened from an ecosystem and an environment point of view. Device cost came down significantly, data cost came down significantly. The internet boom or internet 2.0 after the 2001 bubble, we started seeing it after 15, 16 years. So internet was easily available, or connectivity was easily available. Device cost came down significantly. Data cost was cheaper than, or it became much, much more cheaper. And today it's cheaper than 1 kg of salt, or 1 GB is cheaper than 1 kg of salt. So all these things helped. Plus global players and e-commerce also played a significant role. At the same time, folks like Paytm, Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, Uber, Ola, all these guys slowly and started coming in, all in the internet space. So overnight, people started interacting and consuming a lot of stuff, whether it is content, services, or anything else which the net provided or data provided. And then somebody went and told him that you need to go beyond college or professional examination and look at school education, because if you look at the numbers from a 2.5 million 2.5 million students every year, there are about 265 million school-going students from standard 1 to standard 10 in the country. And that's a phenomenal setup, and there was no player. Luckily, he met some investors, money came in, he had the teachers with him, and over 2015 till date, the content got created. And the single largest success criteria, it's not only about the timing. Of course, timing played a very, very important role, but it is also about the pedagogy which is there, because the teachers who have created the content have teaching experience of over 10, 15 years. And they are hardcore professional and the best teachers the country has produced. So all of them came together, started creating content. They knew how to teach students. Now the only challenge was converting their know-how into an audio video format, making it much more appealing, making it customized. And that also happened because of machine learning and artificial intelligence. So every user started getting a customized experience. Uh, Content was created. You had then a lot of other teams getting set up in terms of the animation team, the graphic teams, the script writers, the production studios. And with the scale and size, and all investors realized, and we talk about China a lot nowadays, but if you look at China, the amount of growth e-learning companies have had was a testimony of fact that it is a matter of time that India also would see such levels of growth, both in terms of consumer using the product, as well as the growth of the category. And that's exactly happened. Investors started coming in, money came in, teams got created, and over the last 4-5 years, BYJUs became what BYJUs is today, with 14 state boards curriculum mapped across standard 4th to standard 12th, ICSC, CBSC, IB, IGSC. And last year, the partnership with Disney also took shape when the group ended up launching Disney BYJU Early Learn, which was for the primary students. And as we speak, over the next couple of months, we will be launching preschool also. So over a period of 5 years, the company was able to set up entire curriculum online, which is mapped to your respective schools, which is mapped to your respective boards. But if you ask me, the 3 key things which worked for us was the teachers, the content, and the platform.
That's amazing. So what a story, Atit, what a story. Pavan, while the online education thing has really done well, I mean, I know my kids and a lot of kids were always glad that during this time that kids can still learn so much online. Conversely, there are many industries that are badly affected with absolutely no transactions. I mean, namely the airlines, travel, hospitality, and many manufacturing outlets. So as a brand consultant, what would you advise to be the first steps that they should be taking from a brand and communication point of view as business hopefully comes back to normal?
Okay, thanks, Ravi. Let me say this seems to be the question of the season as such. People who ask this question, everybody is trying to figure out where this is going. So let me first set the context before I start answering. Yes, I do have an answer. What should companies do therefore? Okay, so before I come, let me set the context for this. We are living in an uncertain time. Yes, we all know that. The worst part is the unknown part. We do not know when this is going to end. So the context is we are talking about the COVID breakout as such. So is there a difference between what was happening till yesterday and now? Perhaps yes. Is it going to change? Yeah, everybody is predicting that everything is going to change. On what basis, I do not know. In the sense, let me pull back one more step and set the context from a brand. Since you asked me a question as brand consultant, what would you advise? As a brand consultant, we don't look at brands as a separate entity or a separate subject. All brands are rooted to a business. So any kind of consulting, any kind of repair work or putting any brand on track starts with examining from where the business is coming from. So you don't just don't look at the brand as for the time being. Let's look at the business first, because all brands are rooted in businesses. Okay. Now, having said that, let's go through what's happening in businesses. Everything is uncertain. Nobody knows where it's going, and it's becoming it used to be a dynamic market. That was the usage. I think now it's become a hyper dynamic market. Everything is changing by the minute, I should say. I mean, no exaggeration. By the hour, by the day. For example, somebody says, April 14th, lockdown over, we are back in business. Therefore, you kind of chill out, learn to cook new things. You learn to play the guitar, probably read some books, to catch up with movies. Oh, fine, nice going. And you think, come April 14th, everything will be okay. But it didn't happen so. Next date fixes, there'll be relaxation 21st April. It did not happen. So still everybody is in good, but we are seeing some graphs saying economy is going to be down. Here, payments are going to be delayed. All this is, we are feeling this, but we still do not know when this is coming. Suppose somebody gave a date saying it's going to be September 15th, we are back in action, everything equalized. Damn good, then we have a strategy for it. Suppose you say it's going to be next June, then your strategy is going to be different. It's going to be like that. Nobody knows when this time is. Is there a definitive time? Unlikely there's going to be a definite, cut-off time or a change in the time as such. It's not going to happen that way. Let me give you an example, a personal experience which happened. I happened to order corn, for making popcorn from Amazon. The order was placed. I got a notification saying that it's coming today. First thing in the morning, I get in my mail saying that delivery today. And within 2 hours, government declares it's a non-essential. And the corn doesn't get delivered. So within hours, the business has changed. So it's not even in a day or something. So like this, things are changing. Suddenly something is on, and 80% of this are not in your control. Something is happening in the environment. Something is happening in the distribution, the law, whatever you want to call that, a rule, the way the virus is spreading. So everything is super hyper dynamic. So in this hyper dynamic, what would you do? I think most of them will sit back and watch and say that let me see where this is going. That's one way of doing. The another way to do is spend this time, this uncertain time, to kind of, if individuals can go up and brush up on their skills, if they can go and brush up on some new lessons, why can't brands or businesses? So I'm going to kind of loosely use this word of brand versus business as such. Why can't businesses go and learn something new this time? Exactly the way the people, individuals are doing. Just go and learn. Now let me come to a more specific method which I have. So since we don't have the time to keep talking about the environment, as brand consultants, we don't do too much of this brand commentary as such. I think there are loads of commentary out there which is already put on the LinkedIn's and the Facebooks of 5 do's, 5 don'ts for a brand, all these kind of things. You should be more engaging. You have to be more sensitive, compassionate. All these kind of they're all commentary upon me. Let's get to the practical aspect of it. What could businesses do right now? In an uncertain, probably tomorrow it could be a doomsday. It could be a struggling time, or it could be like how some of the predictions which has happened as of this morning, including Trump says the economy is going to boom. A lot of people say everything is going to be much better. So all kinds of contradictory statements are there. So let's not debate those right now. Let's go through some action plan. I would like to recommend something called an opportunity activation program. Okay, this is what I will recommend to any companies. It could be irrespective of the sizes. So what do I mean by this opportunity activation program? There are 2 parts to this. There are 2 ways to do this. One is seek a new opportunity which you do not know. You absolutely have no idea what this is. There's a method to it, by the way. We'll come to that method. So you go out into the market, figure out what is this new opportunity which I do not know. It's an exploratory study. Maybe you'll hit a gold mine somewhere. That's one way. The other way to do is to search for an opportunity within your current system, within your current customers, consumers, within your current environment, within your current company. Just go and search for this. Probably there's an opportunity sitting which you didn't realize as the best opportunity right now, or the most apt one to use or tap into right now in this today's context. Verily, it is well said, it's like one of those good behavior types. You should always be doing that, yes. But now from this, the way we are, where the market is, I think it makes sense to go and tap into all, let's say just to, it is not a brainstorming session, by the way, let me clarify. Yes, brainstorming with your stakeholders, with your management, yes, that is anyway done. Slightly, it's more than an exercise, a to-do exercise. It's not about just a thinking exercise. Let's put it like you go and tap into all your touch points. If it's a product-centric brand, go and look into your product. Go and see what are the opportunities, or you always had that but never used it. Is there an opportunity which you can change it to your current scenario and make it a winner? Look into what your competition is doing. Can you learn? In fact, I have a training workshop on called Competition as Your Master. What can you learn from your competition? If you just concentrate, put a team just to go and learn everything about the competition, probably there's an opportunity waiting for you to tap. Maybe that. It could be in the processes, in your systems. It could be in your cost centers. It could be probably in the console of your vendor list. It could be anywhere lying there. You just have to systematically put some headings and start looking inside that. Can one of these be converted into an opportunity? Which is now that opportunity in the context of your case, it could be a game changer, or it could be a survival kit. So these opportunities can actually work for you as a survival kit or as a game changer. You have to go and see that what is already there. Probably that is where the gold mine is. And this is, by the way, it's a systematic exercise. It's not an academic bashing I'm giving you. It is a possible. In fact, I'm advising 2 clients right now on this method to actually go step by step, look at, tap into it. Now here comes another question. People might ask, how do I do it in a lockdown? So it is not that something is sequential in this. It's not that you first tap here there. It's parallel. Open up all your compartments. Start looking into each box and think what I can find there. If you're able to get your sales team into a room or through a Skype or through a Zoom, call them, have a session with them. Next, talk to your current favorite, let's say your vendors. Talk to them. Probably it's just talking to begin with. Then if you get your systems guy, go through your Excel sheets and all those data. It could be actually a data search for your gold mine. It could be there. If you're a tech company or if you're a well-documented company, probably there's something lying there which you then unseen. I keep repeating that. If it is already seen by you, you would have used it or junked it, either way. There's something. So go with the belief that there's something out there. You should be convinced there's something out there which I can tap and convert into a gold mine. And then you start going.
The unknown is what we are talking about typically.
Yes, the unknown. So the trick is to go on the unknown, because anyway the market is unknown. So try to fix the context of where it's going.
And
but to predict,
typically they're available in, it could be with the product, it could be with the supply chain, it could
yes,
be.
True. It could be in the product. It could be in the systems. It could be on the actual, if you're in manufacturing, it could be on the belt. You don't know where it is. Even as they say, the classic case of, somebody took off one olive from an airline and then you made some millions or whatever, all those stories we have heard and things like that. Just go and see what is that which is eating into your profits. What is that in? This is the best time. If instead of catching on, so let me call this like binge watching within your thing, like Netflix watching, you just binge into your own system and keep on binging into your system and keep browsing there. You'll find something out there. And I'm confident. I'm already on a gold mine with one of my clients. It happened. I mean, it's always there. So I say, that's what I keep saying. Insights are inside. It's in your side. You're not seeing it. So maybe that's a good starting point.
To actually bring up the next question, seek opportunities that are there. There's something else that could be within your system. And this is an interesting question, Atit, because you've spoken about how you have built, you as in BYJUS has built this whole system from the professional courses down to the school and now looking at preschool. You're talking about tuitions and you're talking about that kind of content. How do you see education itself going into the future? I mean, I can speak for my kids. I know they sometimes say, hey, why are we even going to school? There's already so much of learning happening online. Why do we even need to get to that school? So what do you think? Will you think this time will change the whole concept of schooling itself? Is there an opportunity there?
Now, see, this is a question which everybody is grappling with. Everybody is asking that what is the future of education? Yeah. Now, a lot of people have a different point of view, but my point of view as follows. I don't think the school ecosystem is going to change in the country. Yeah. Because the country is divided in terms of good schools, expensive schools, not so good schools, and very, very bad infrastructure or very, very poor quality of teacher schools. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Even if we all sit in big metros, Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, drive for 50 kilometers outside your city and then visit a school, you'll realize how bad the infrastructure is. You will realize how bad the quality of teachers are, because we are paying them $8,000-10,000, and then the question is you're just not getting good talent. So keeping the overall environment and ecosystem, I personally feel, and we as a group feel, that schools will remain in the future also, and schools should remain in the future, because learning is also being with people. Learning is also developing your interpersonal skills. It's all about sharing. It's all about being with a set of like-minded same age group people, and that is the very, very important, essential for a development of a student. So school should remain. Having said that, what is happening is a lot of students, a lot of parents are sending their, everybody's sending their kids to school. 80-85% of them, and especially after standard 7th onwards, are sending their students for private tuitions or classes. What we believe is that going forward, the private tuitions and classes might get replaced by learning at home, learning by yourself. Because today, this situation of last 40 days has given us a sense, not as a business, but as a student or as a parent or as a father or a mother, that it is easy to learn at home. Schools are adopting setups and platforms to teach their students. Yeah. So what is happening is, as we go forward, what we see, couple of things might happen or will happen. One is more and more students would get accustomed to studying at home by himself or herself using an e-learning content. B, lot of teachers who have never taught online, have been forced to teach online right now, are also getting acclimatized of teaching students and interacting with students on a net, on a platform like Zoom, or a platform like whatever platforms might be available. So schools will remain. There might be a metamorphical shift in the way learning happens outside school. Now that can change from going to a tuition classes or a classes to having a tuition teacher coming home to an e-learning device, but schools will remain.
Oh, awesome. So, Atit, just continuing on that particular aspect, saying that online education, we know it's been there for some time. And what are the factors which is the success attributes which is attached with BYJUs and many others? Because I know it is more than being at the right place at the right time. It could be beyond that, right? So what are the success factors attached to brands like BYJUs?
Yeah, so I think there are 5 or 6 key success factors apart from time and luck and everything else. The number one thing is content, because see, this is what we are trying to teach you fractions, or we are trying to teach you integers, or we are trying to teach you a Pythagoras theorem. So this is hardcore academics. And to create a sense of understanding, to make the students understand in a audio video format, in a movie like video, yeah, you need to be absolutely bang on and 100% on your content. So a lot of ad tech companies are there in the market today, but the top 5 are the ones who have the best content which they have created, using a lot of techniques, using a lot of technology, with a lot of graphics and animation, and explaining that why this happens. So content is the number one thing which is related to the success or attributed to a success. Second is the platform. You need to have a platform which is easily acceptable. So this is an app. Yeah, people will download the app. You need to create a very, very easygoing experience from a consumer point of view, because you are talking to a 4th standard student, a 5th standard student, a 3rd standard student. The age group is 6-7 years. You need to talk in their language. So the platform has to be that easy to understand, easy to navigate. So that also plays a very, very significant role, or has played a very significant role, at least in BYJUs. The third thing which I would say is communication. If you look at the last 5 years of our any communication, at no point in time we are telling you that if you don't study with BYJUs, you will fail. We are not saying that your teachers are bad. We are not saying your school is not adequate for you to give you the right level of education. What we are saying is that whatever you learn in school is great, and you should go to school and spend some time in school. Once you come back from school, spend some time with the content which we have. It will make your concepts much, much more stronger. We are not like what do you call, exam preparation guide, which all of us would have gone through it. Like one day before the examination, we had those 21 question or 28 question books. Used to study like 2 hours in the night and somehow used to pass. Online learning is not about learning 24 hours prior. It is all about conceptual learning. So slowly and gradually, the communication is building upon you and telling you that you will fall in love with learning, but you just need to understand the concept. If you like something, automatically you will start excelling in that. And that's exactly what the communication is saying, and content is driving that particular piece. The fourth thing is also scale, because more and more people talk about it. It's the word of mouth and scalability and reach and everything else which happens with that. So these are the 4 or 5 things which I personally believe has been single largest contributor or attributed to BYJU's success, led by content and the phenomenal content the teachers have created, because it takes time to, it's like a movie. You have to start from writing the script. You'll have to put a narrative behind it. You'll have to do the animatics. You'll have to then get a teacher to, you need teachers who can act and you need actors who can teach. It's not an easy combination. Yeah, so you have to find the right teacher who is good in front of a screen, who can act and showcase the content, and then you produce it, then you post produce it, then you make it into a 7-minute or 8-minute. It's a lot of work. So if you get that piece right with teachers and content, I think that's the single largest, or that's the only mantra for a success in e-commerce business
training them itself is a big challenge, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So you need teachers who can act and actors who can teach. And if you get those, that cohort, you would be able to create great content.
Okay, awesome. So coming to Pavan, we know there is a influx of webinars and online courses. We have been seeing a lot happening around us that ways. And professional graduates, everybody jumping onto the bandwagon, trying to saying that, okay, let me learn a new skill now, or two for that particular matter. There are a lot of free courses which is doing the rounds too. So everybody is logging on to all the online platforms to learn a new skill. And what do you think are the challenges facing the traditional institutions right now? Because there are a lot of challenges attached. Are they seeing the opportunities, like you said earlier, saying that, okay, yeah, they might not have seen the opportunity. Some of them would have. What's your take on challenges and opportunities and how they should be looking at this overall?
As Atit mentioned, traditional schools are going to be challenged with the infrastructure, technology-led. I mean, we know that they're not on par with the better schools or the happening schools or the tech schools as such. So it's not something which is going to happen overnight. But let me tell you from a psychology point of view or from a behavior point of view, where the challenge is going to come. The challenge is going to be, I'm calling something called peer school pressure. Okay, what I mean is, there's going to out there in the media, out there in the even the let's say consumption of movies, serials, wherever, we're going to see there's something called a tech, edu-tech kind of a school, and then non-edu-tech. So eventually, slowly, and because of aspirations and the way the lifestyles is going to play out in our daily lives as the months go, there's going to be a pressure, a psychological pressure or an inferior pressure kind of created on the non-traditional schools. I mean the traditional schools, saying that, hey, you don't have this new way of learning. It could be in school or outside the school. So that's something. Let me give a parallel which we are all familiar with. Many people don't talk about it. Okay, I'm trying to give these examples from an Indian culture point of view. Something called correspondence course. Okay, what according to me, online education is something like correspondence course in many ways. The student didn't go to the university came to him through some study material, and I did that course, right? But today, even if I have a degree, say BCom, BA, whatever I have to do, and say, if I say correspondence course, I don't stand at the same level as the guy who has actually come out of a university, attending a contact program or a class, everyday class. For some reason, so this is, of course, we know the reasons, like Atit said that about disciplinary things, interpersonal skills. So a lot of people believe that those are the must of a brand. So when you come to a traditional school, all this is there, in fact, which is not there in the online schools, but yet there could be a possibility of a pressure being created saying that, hey, you do not know. you do not, you are not updated. You know, that kind of field could be created in the market in the coming years. That as if I lack something because I'm not onto online, because I'm not learning something beyond my school. I mean, these kind of pressures could be actually kicking in. Maybe it's already happening right now. That's my take.
Okay. So we will start taking some questions from the audience also, as in when we go by, because we've already crossed the halfway mark. So there are some questions, so you guys can take, it's applicable to both. So one, the apprehension in most of the people's mind is saying that, okay, during these tough times of going through COVID and probably post-COVID, what do you think could be some best promotional strategies which they could apply? While post-COVID is an assumption which most of us, like we said, it's an unknown. What could be an ideal thing to do currently? There might be certain things which you have practiced with the brands, what you're consulting with from Pawan's end. And Atit, you guys are rocking right now because there is so much of action happening in your category. So what are the strategies which you have been applying to your businesses? And thereby the audience can learn from that particular aspect.
Yeah, so let me go first. So, you know, as the lockdown started, the number one thing which we realized is that schools is the first thing which will be off, and it will be the last thing which will start. Because the kids are the most vulnerable, and you send the kid. So there's a lot of tension and a lot of apprehension amongst parents. So first thing to shut would be schools, and the last thing to open up, as in when the country opens up, is going to be schools. So what we did is, with a larger philosophy that learning should never stop and learning needs to continue irrespective of the situation, we immediately made a change in our overall strategy, and which was like overnight. We started live classes. So if you have downloaded the app, and whether you are a free subscriber or a paid subscriber, you get a pre-recorded content based on your school and your standard and the subjects. And depending upon how you are going through your journey, the app customizes and then throws up content. But those are all pre-recorded content, and there is enough and more support in terms of, you know, there are mentors and there is a CRM and you can ask some questions, but that is still pre-recorded. So with this lockdown, what we did is we got our best teachers to start taking classes exactly the way a school is taking classes today. So best of our teachers across standard 4 to standard 12, across maths and science, a schedule was put up on the app, and whoever was interested, exactly what you guys did. We agreed on this session, you put it up on the network, X amount of people registered for it. Same way we started a similar practice wherein the best teachers would be teaching you chapters and subjects during this lockdown. And that has helped us to get more and more people to get used to the setup and the environment and the technology of having learning happening through a device and not through a physical teacher. So that was the number one thing which we did. We also started talking about it. We went both in terms of paid media as well as earned media and owned media. All the three, paid, earned and owned, was activated, or it got activated. And we went and told the world that, hey, listen, during this lockdown, we believe that learning should not stop, and therefore BYJUs has started free online classes, and it's like live class. It's exactly the same way you and me having this live session that is happening, and that's education. And then there is enough and more technology getting involved over there, wherein when the teacher is teaching, there's some video getting played, there are some interactive conversation happening. 3 other teachers are sitting next to the main teacher and answering questions on the spot, on the go, on the live and stuff like that. So a lot of things happening. So starting this initiative and then reaching out to people and telling them that the service has got started and the service is available has actually been the number one strategy or approach which we have adopted, and we continue doing so for the next couple of months till the schools reopen, as far giving free live classes to students across standard 4 to standard 12 in maths and science.
Pawan, your take?
See, in Atit's case, it's very clear. You have a specific example. To Atit to talk generally of what brand should do, kind of it's too blanket. So if I just talk about communication for a minute, okay? Let me take something specific instead of being general. Let's say corporate communication, okay? Something versus a brand which is going to be addressing consumers. Let's go through a corporate communication for a minute. I think this is the best time to get into some kind of corporate communication. Is this when there's high media clutter, when there's so much noise, there's unlikely that somebody is going to hear your corporate values. So irrespective of the COVID, the corporate values are going to be intact, unless you don't believe yourself. As a company, if you believe you're convinced about your corporate values and your belief systems as such, this is the time to go and tell the market, because not much, from a media point, there's not much happening. A 31 page, the Times of India is now 8 pages, let's say, okay? So nothing much is happening, and this is the right time to break in and tell the world who you are as a company. So when the so-called lockdown or these effects are over, maybe they're going to see you in a very different light. Maybe that's going to give you a platform to launch your new brand. Maybe that's the way you are going to revive your brand. So this is an ideal time, a window, nice window to come and say, corporate, here's my values, this is what I believe in. Make those statements now. You can't get a better chance. Once the thing gets booming and everybody is going to, all the media is going to be cluttered, you will not stand a chance to communicate who you are as a corporate brand. So I think companies should look into their corporate branding now. This is the best chance.
Got it. So you specifically, so is there any advice? A lot of the people who are here are typically the startup founders and early stage entrepreneurs and all that. So for them, they obviously don't have, they're not loaded with budgets to spend and stuff like that. So do you all have any advice to them in terms of what are the right mediums to use in today's scenarios? You would have applied it in your businesses and some of the businesses which you are working on. So is there any advice to them in terms of what medium works, what works during this time?
See, it's like this. It's let's put this big question called what is relevant to people right now, okay? Because you have to have some conversation. If I have to see from a sales point of view, if I have to see from a marketing point of view, then I don't know where this is going. Nobody knows. Honestly, nobody knows where it is. So it's more of wait and watch policy or wait and watch strategy now. So is it rather, so what people, if you look at the social media, okay, or if you look at the overall digital itself, whatever is happening out there, it's more of, I salute the frontliners, I salute the hospital workers, I salute the doctors, stay safe, stay home, learn new things. It's going to be more general, just trying to say, hey, I'm also there with you. It's just that only that much is happening right now. Nobody's sticking out the neck and say, therefore me, when the thing is over, come and buy me. So this buy me kind of communication is going to take some time, especially when you, since you're saying a startup. I think it's more of, you have to wait there. Rather than say something and, roll back, it's better to stay there and just be having some kind of conversation just to say you're alive, that, hey, I'm out here. Just keep waving your hand now and then and say, I'm here. I think that's the max you can do.
Okay.
Just because of this uncertainty, nothing else.
Okay. Okay. Atit, from your end, in terms of, I'm sure there is a lot of learnings from your end in terms of how you all effectively communicate and use mediums well.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to prescribe or give like a directive in terms of one should do. One needs to understand the business. But again, I would only say one thing over here. It's unprecedented. We have never seen such times. Yeah, and I hope and pray we never get to see such times again. Conserve cash. Capital will play a significant role going forward. We need to conserve cash, and then whatever little you are left with, try to then build whatever you have to build. Now, PR can play a big role. There is a lot of stuff which one can do, which is without any expenditure. Yeah, if you have a reasonable amount of following and on your social platforms and handles and all those things, you can keep on updating your consumers with something. But all that thing is secondary. Right now, survival is the critical thing, especially for MSMEs and startups. Yeah. So I would suggest and recommend that conserve cash, and everything else will fall back, whether it is 6 months or 9 months down the line. We need to figure out a strategy for survival and then look at expenditure as of right now.
I just like to add one more thing here. Like since we are talking about startups, I do consult to a lot of startups. It's this. It's a myth or it's a misunderstood concept called digital social media is cheaper, easier to do. If you don't have money, do that. Yes, seems correct. If you don't have money for mass media, it looks like as if that's a substitute. But it's not true that each one has its own role. It's not that just because you're not there a mass brand or it means you have to fall back on digital, not necessarily. And we get fooled. So what happens is we put up some post out there. So thinking that so-called post is actually you have done that work. So there's a tick box saying that I have done something about my communication, but not necessarily. It's not true. I mean, we get fooled by this. So we should not really see digital and social media as a substitute for if your brand, if your thing is actually requires that. Of course, digital marketing guys will argue saying that, yes, this is the measured one. Of course, this debate can go on. I mean, this debate. I'm not trying to say social media versus mass media. I'm not trying to say that. But we should not get fooled if a particular category requires that. So I also mentioned about PR. PR is a very good tool to use. Seems so like a low cost, relatively speaking. But yes, PR is also expensive. It's not that it's just because you put a press release, you'll get your whatever needs to be done. It's not that way.
Atit, like you were saying that how do you use your social platforms to your advantage, right? But you guys have reached a stage where you already have a lot of fan followings, and with the new algorithms of the Facebooks and stuff like that, it's going to make it even more difficult. So which means that for startups and early stage entrepreneurs, it's going to be even more difficult because they don't even have a fan following to them, right? So if you were to go back X number of years and put yourself in that particular scenario where you don't have a fan base, what do you think what could be the strategies which a young entrepreneur should adopt to thereby gain fans?
No, so it's not about gaining fans. Yeah. So what I meant is that we need to figure out a way. Now it's easier said than done. What is that way? We don't know right now. Looking at the business, look at your competition, look at the way the market is shaping up. One needs to be absolutely clear that even if I'm spending money at a time when I'm not adding money into my system, I'm not generating revenue, should I do it or shouldn't I not do it? It's also about taking the right calls. Calls might not be only about digital or only about spending money in mass media. I might not have the money. Now, if you are a small business and if you don't have a reasonable amount of people who are engaging with you on a social media platform, then you can't even spend that money because it would get wasted. Yeah. So you'll have to stay put. Yeah. Not spending money in this point at this point in time or staying put and trying to survive is as good as a strategy one could think about in terms of vis-a-vis what you end up spending. So not spending is also a good approach and a good choice which one can take, and hold on to that resources, hold on to your people, hold on to your cash. And as things open up, which would eventually, whether it is 2 months or 4 months, nobody knows, you can then start and plan it out, draw up your blueprint. And whenever you are ready, you go back with a bang and you don't lose time when things open up. You cannot be in a position that, for example, by 5th of May or 10th of May, the country opens up. Yeah. And then you are now grappling and figuring out what you need to do, where you need to do, how you need to do. And you are then coordinating with people and figuring out plans. You need to have plan A, plan B, plan C ready. And depending upon the situation, you press the button whenever you are ready to press the button. So you don't waste time. So a lot of planning and thinking needs to happen during this time. And if you don't have the bandwidth and the resources, holding on to your budgets and not doing anything as for brand building or engaging with your consumers right now is as good as a strategy as it can be.
Okay. Pavan, there's a question here about, Pavan, there's a question here about the food industry, right? Something that all of us, irrespective of what profession or what business or what lifestyle, is something that we all enjoy, and we eat out a lot. But the food industry has been affected really badly, and most of them are born out of passion to deliver interesting food. So, and not more, that is not backed by huge funds, nor is it always a thriving business. What do you suggest as a brand consultant? What are your thoughts about this? And also, just another follow-up question to that, if you could, you think there's a case for a lot more collaboration of people, all these smaller units coming together and doing something together? Pavan?
The first part regarding the food industry, right? From a law point of view, or what the government is recommending, we do not know where this is going. Okay, especially because of the thing called social distancing. Okay, what are the norms? For example, I read in Taiwan and some certain places in Far East, there are only 5 people to come enter at a time. I mean, when you know. Okay, so that beats the whole system, because when we go to a restaurant, yes, we require a private space. But the whole act of going with sitting with a lot of people around is actually a thing. Subconsciously, we want to do that. Otherwise, you can always dine out there, right? So we do not know where. Having said that, but the most obvious, again, the hygiene is, how are you going to communicate that you're a hygiene place? I mean, everything is hygienic about what you're doing. I think that has to be demonstrated, not stated through some poster. For example, you know, a place in Bangalore, the famous place I keep, my favorite place called Taza Sindhi. What's the best part of that I like is, I'm not publicizing them, but I'm just saying it's a demonstration, a proof of hygiene. They have a huge 14 feet glass where you can actually see how they clean their vessels. Okay, probably like that, some devices you need to demonstrate. So it's not stating that you are hygienic in your delivery, but how are you demonstrating? This is going to be a very critical thing. So the other way, if you can't demonstrate it visually, the obvious one is to get certifications. As we know, somebody puts a thing, certified by Zomato, 5 stars, whatever, you believe a certificate. So that's another way of, physically kind of explaining, to tangibly tell people the unseen part, which is you can't see hygiene, right? You have to demonstrate or kind of assure people that, so that would be the obvious first stance to take. And second, maybe we have to go and explain, can we give a new kind of experience with the so-called social distancing? Can be a new meaning. I mean, so reinventing the dining in together with the social, it looks like a contradictory thing. But of course, yeah, there's a possibility of giving a new experience with the current limitations or restrictions. And that's the opportunity you have to tap into. That's what I'm trying to say. There's something which is happening out there. You do not have a hang of, unknown. Go explore, and if you're the first guy to crack it, gold mine.
Got it. Ravi, you're muted.
And like an interesting question as a follow-up was, is there, and this could be for either of you, is there a case for collaboration, a lot more coming together of industry people and saying, let's do something together to revive this whole thing and work together? There's probably a lot more value in cooperation than competition right now.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, this question is not going to be too different post-COVID breakdown, okay? So this has always been there as a talk, this collaborative work. So it is going to be centric to a certain business. It may not be for all kind of business. So generally speaking, something I lack, you have, we collaborate. So we do not know where this is going. Yes, principally as a general fundamental thing, collaboration works. Resources are saved, resources are shared, expertise are shared. So as a concept, yes. So there's nothing very different which is right now as a post-COVID, but that will exist probably in certain categories. It will become a way of working as a must, as a hygiene.
Atit, while you're answering this particular question, I want you to just add on one more aspect to it, which is a question from the audience, which is from a trainer saying that, okay, what is the possibility of them collaborating with BYJUs, and how do they go about it? So if you could talk on collaboration and then get into that particular question too.
Yeah, I will do that. So let me just answer, just an add-on to what you guys were saying. Then collaboration, I was reading an article yesterday. Once the airlines open up, there has been some rumors and there is some grapevine and conversation that they will remove the middle seat and they will make you sit as the window and an aisle, a window and an aisle. So technically the aircraft would be 1/3 occupied, even if it's fully sold out. Now, whatever understanding I have about the airline industry, it is unfeasible for any airline to run a 1/3 capacity airline. So there was an article yesterday wherein Indigo, SpiceJet, and Vistara, all three of them were chatting that we will collaborate and ensure that if my flight is not fully booked, because it's going to take some time for people to go to the airport, we will do offloading to your aircraft. So we will fly an aircraft, but then I have bought an Indigo ticket, I might end up traveling in Vistara and so on and so forth. So that level of collaboration is going to happen as we go forward. We don't know how and what, but yeah, this is the reality of life. There was another conversation I was having with some of my ex-Unilever colleagues last week. Yeah, now for Baddi, for example, Baddi is the largest manufacturing hub for all the big FMCG companies. Dabur has a factory, Colgate has a factory, Unilever has a factory. Now, transportation is a problem, not because of anything else, because there are no drivers. They've all gone back. So now sending a half-loaded truck, might as well you come together and put Colgate and levers together inside one truck. So this is called collaboration, and this are going to change the way we do business. This is the way we look at stuff going forward. We don't know what is right or wrong, but this is what is happening. And this, I think, is the biggest collaboration and the biggest moment for all marketeers and business, where the biggest competitive brands are going to come together and create value for themselves as well as create value for the consumers.
Yeah.
On the question, as for collaboration with BYJUs, yeah, it's a great opportunity which we have been contemplating over the last couple of months in terms of what we can do beyond education and beyond academics. Yes, there is a lot of scope for example, sports. Yeah, we are part of the Indian cricket team. All the players and all the technicals and everything is easily available from BCCI. We can start coaching for kids exactly the way we teach maths and science. We can probably teach cricket. We can teach music. We can teach dancing. Now, somebody from a personal trainer point of view, I think there's a huge scope for mental conditioning, because the kids are going through a lot of stress. There is immense competition. Yeah, at least from 7th, 8th, 9th standard onwards. Yeah, you require a support. You require a mental conditioning. You require somebody who can keep you physically fit as well as mentally fit. So yeah, there can be a lot of opportunities and conversations of collaboration going forward.
Awesome. So the last question to both of you before we sign off, and this is specifically on the aspect what we have been talking about, saying opportunity is an unseen. We don't know what is there in the pipeline. And from a BYJU's perspective, like how do you decide to go about product line extension? And so that is a question specific to you. And if you have any broad level aspects on that, more than happy if you could mention that too. And then after that to Pavan, saying that, okay, Pavan, how should brands today or businesses today look at product line extensions? Because there are businesses today who have started doing masks, for example, while Kraft has done masks, which they never thought of doing earlier, right? So how do you look at product line extensions, and how do you decide whether to do it or not?
Yeah, so as far BYJUs is concerned, product line extension is everything education. And if you look at it, it's been only 5 years we have become an online company. We have only maths and science. So there are about 14 subjects which one learns in a school. We have only covered probably 5 if I break science into, what do you call, physics, chemistry, and biology. And if I break maths into arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. So we have covered about 4 to 5 subjects. We have 14 subjects to go. So that is a clear indication that this is the product line or product pipeline as we go forward. Plus, all our content is in English. The teacher is coming and speaking English and teaching you maths and science in English. 40% or 45-50% of schools are vernacular medium schools. And if you go and speak to a parent, they are saying that the reason we are not going for an online course because you are teaching in English. I don't understand English. My student or my child is going to a vernacular school. So hum leke kya karenge? You please make it in Hindi or Malayalam or Telugu or Tamil. So that's another opportunity from a product line point of view, wherein you convert your content and not dub it. And you know what dubbing you see on a set max where you have a South Indian movie dub into Hindi. Not that level of dubbing. I'm talking about getting people to reshoot and recreate the content in the respective 7 or 8 top languages of the country. So that is the second product line. Third is there is a huge scope for preschool and primary school, which we have started with Disney Disney with all the animations and characters. So that's another great opportunity. So this is on the academic side, but there is a huge scope for non-academics, as I spoke about, whether it's sports, music, and other extracurricular activities, crafts. All those things can be the future pipeline. So yeah, the plate looks full as we speak, and as we draw up the map over the next 3 or 4 years, it's looking very, very, very tight and very exciting.
Yeah, Pavan, over to you.
Yeah, let me put it this way: a classic way of marketing or a classic way of communication. It again falls into simplicity in 2 ways. One is follow the customer or lead the customer, or customer call stroke consumer. Okay, follow. When you follow, just go and keep on looking at what he wants more. Can I make him buy more of me? So you bring in variants. See what is, anyway, I'm going to give him a shampoo. Can I give him a soap also? I'm simplistically speaking. I keep on adding to his basket from the same shelf. Okay, that's what. Keep on following him and saying, okay, this is what he requires. The another way to do is lead him, meaning he's never thought of this. It didn't occur to him that he has to do it, and then you go. Okay, so let me give another company instead of FMCG, Bosch. Okay, they're into these tools, mechanized tools, as you know, the Bosch, the drills, and the lots of tools they have. Now that goes to, let's call the blue collar worker or the electrician or the plumber. I mean, they're using it. Now the huge mass, a sitting mass of regular people like you and me were untouched by this. So he creates a thing called do it yourself. So he glamorizes do it yourself, DIY stuff. And so therefore they start creating these hobby centers. So suddenly the same equipment now comes in a box as a hobby. But now he's making somebody else buy. But it looks like a completely new offering. But actually when you open the box, is what the same thing what the electrician used. So this is a new way of going and leading and saying, hey, how about this? Let me give you another classic example of how FirePro used to be a company which I used to deal long back in the 90s. They were into fire safety consultation for buildings and apartments and all that stuff. They did one thing. I don't know how many of you will be aware of it. Called ceasefire. It is a 1 feet long cylindrical thing, fire extinguisher. So they went and told that you have to have it in your car, in your auto, because tomorrow if an accident happens and we checked with the police and there is no record of any accident happening where if at all you had a fire extinguisher, but they created a need. Suddenly they led the consumers to believe that, hey, this is the way. So from a consultation mode, they came and actually sold you a physical fire extinguisher. Now let's, so many there could be numerous examples where you kind of lead and say, hey, take this, and you keep on extending. So as long as you crack an idea to lead a customer or lead your consumer, yes, you can go on extending it.
Yeah. Awesome. So I guess that's what your opportunity activation program, which you were talking about, does to
Yes.
businesses and brands that way. So thank you so much, guys. So it has been a pleasure having you both here on this particular Brandversation show, and a very insightful conversation today. And we touched upon a lot of aspects with regard to mediums and what brands should be doing today, and how they should be exploring the unseen, and how they should be tapping into opportunities. So thanks a lot. Thank you for taking time out and being here. And to all others, all our viewers, the recording of the same thing is available on our Facebook page, and it will come onto the YouTube page too. Never Too Small to Brand is what you need to search for. And yeah, we're coming back again coming Friday. We have a big leader from India joining us on Friday, and I'll keep it as a suspense for now. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Pavan. Thank you, Atit. It was a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you very much. Thanks. See you guys. Bye.